Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी, गोपी जन वल्लभ गिरिवर धारी। यशोदनन्दन व्रज जनरञ्जन यमुनतिरवनचारि जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी गोपी जन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी हे हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे श्री श्री राधा गोपीनाथ भगवान की जय। श्री श्री बलदेव श्री श्री जगन्नाथ बलदेव सुभद्रा माई की जय। श्री श्री गौरनिताय भगवान की जय। श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। Is it 3 or 4 today? Number 4. Number 4, okay. So, reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto number 3, Chapter 24, text number 4, 324.4. Renunciation of Karda Muni. Sa Tvayaraditaha Suklo Vitanvan Mamakam Yashaha Chetta Te Hirdaya Grantim Audaryo Brahma Bhavanaha Satvayarida Satvayaradita Suklo Satvayaradita Suklo Vitanvan Mamakam Yashaha Vitanvan Mamakam Yashaha Chetate Hirdaya Grantim Audaryo Brahma Bhavanaha Audaryo Brahma Bhavanaha Satvayaradito Satvayaradita Suklo Vitanvan Mamakam Yashaha Chetate Hirdaya Grantim Audaryo Brahma Bhavanaha Satvayaradita Suklo Vitanvan Mamakam Yashaha Chettate Hirdaya Grantim Audaryo Brahma Bhavanaha Satvayaradita Suklo Vitanvan Mamakam Yashaha Chettate Hirdaya Grantim Audaryo Brahma Bhavanaha Satvayaradita Suklo Vitanvan Mamakam Yashaha Chetate Hirdaya Grantim Audaryo Brahma Bhavana Chetate Hirdaya Grantim Audaryo Brahma Bhavana Audaryo Brahma Bhavana Saha He Tvaya by you Araditaha being worshipped Suklaha the personality of Godhead Vitanvan spreading Mamakam my Yashaha fame Cheta he will cut Te your Hirdaya of the heart Grantim not Audaryaha your son Brahma knowledge of Brahman Bhavanaha teaching. Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki. The personality of Godhead being worshipped by you will spread my name and fame. He will vanquish the knot of your heart by becoming your son and teaching knowledge of Brahman. Please repeat after me. The personality of Godhead being worshipped by you will spread my name and fame. He will vanquish the knot of your heart by becoming your son and teaching knowledge of Brahman. Peppered by Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. When the Supreme Personality of Godhead comes to disseminate spiritual knowledge for the benefit of all people, he generally descends as the son of a devotee, being pleased by the devotee's devotional service. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is the father of everyone. No one, therefore, is his father. But by his inconceivable energy, he accepts some of the devotees as his parents and descendants. It is explained here that spiritual knowledge vanquishes the knot of the heart. Matter and spirit are knotted by false ego. This identification of oneself with matter, which is called Hridaya Granthi, exists for all conditioned souls, and it becomes more and more tightened when there is too much affection for sex life. The explanation was given by Lord Rishabh to his sons that this material world is an atmosphere of attraction between male and female. The attraction takes the shape of a knot in the heart, and by material affection, it becomes still more tight. For people who hanker after material possessions, society, friendship, and love, this knot of affection becomes very strong. It is only by Brahma Bhavana, the instruction by which spiritual knowledge is enhanced, that the knot in the heart is cut to pieces. No material weapon is needed to cut this knot, but it requires bona fide spiritual instruction. Kardam Muni instructed his wife Devahuti that the Lord would appear as her son and disseminate spiritual knowledge to cut the knot of material identification. Om Jnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Shalaka Chaksurunmilitamena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutala Srimate Radha Govinda Goswamini Namine Namaste Prabhupada Devam Gauravani Pracharin Nirvisya Sunyavadi Grama Jana Nistarin Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutala Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamini Namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisya Sunyavadi Paschata Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. So Hare Krishna devotees, Hare Krishna. So we are reading this very important canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, canto number 3. Which is one of the very important cantos of Srimad Bhagavatam. We know Srimad Bhagavatam has got how many cantos? 12 cantos. How many chapters? How many chapters does Srimad Bhagavatam have? 18 is Bhagavad Gita. 15, not 15. So we have 335 chapters of Srimad Bhagavatam. How many? 335 chapters. So this is chapter number 24. Of course, you know how many verses Srimad Bhagavatam has. How many? 18,000, correct, yeah. So this is third canto, chapter 24, verse number 4. And we have very nice conversation going on here. Who is speaking here? Karda Muni. And who is actually speaking this katha? Sukadeva Goswami to Parikshit Maharaj. And Sukadeva Goswami is saying what Maitreya Muni is speaking to whom? Vidura. So Maitreya Muni is speaking to Vidura. So we know about Maitreya Muni. Maitreya Muni is a disciple of who? Correct, yeah, Parashar. He's a disciple of Parashar. Maitreya Muni was there when Lord Krishna was departing, when Krishna was leaving. Maitreya Muni, and who else was there? Uddhava. Hmm? Yeah, correct, yeah. And Maitreya Muni had from Krishna as well, but we know that Maitreya Muni is also disciple of Parasar Muni. We have the four Kumaras who learn, who go and get instructions from, at the bottom of the universe, instructions from whom? Lord Shankarshan. And the four Kumaras have a disciple whose name is, he gives instructions to his disciple, one disciple whose name is Sankyayan Muni. Right? Sankyayan Muni has two powerful disciples. One is Parasar and the other one is Brihaspati. And Parasar Muni's disciple is Maitreya Muni. And Maitreya Muni here is speaking to Vidura. So Maitreya Muni is speaking to Vidura, and Sukadeva Goswami is saying what Maitreya Muni spoke to Vidura. And Maitreya Muni is speaking to Vidur, the conversation between Devahuti and Kardam. Kardam Rishi and Devahuti. So, Kardam Rishi is getting ready to take sannyas. He wants to renounce. And we know that Devahuti is requesting her to give her fearlessness, because she was thinking that, she was saying that, or she's saying here that she had a very powerful husband. She was attached to the husband, but at the same time she did not ask for any of the what. She did not get any transcendental knowledge from the husband, and we know that Kardam Rishi created a very nice viman, or what do you call that? That could fly, it could go from one place to the other, and Devahuti had actually saved him. And then we know that to please Devahuti, he created that great viman which could fly. It was an aerial mansion which could go from one place to the other without crashing or without requiring any petrol or anything like that. It was a very special viman. And now that Kardam Muni has decided to take sannyas, she wants to leave home, Mother Devahuti is asking Kardam Muni to free her from all the fear, or give her fearlessness. And then in the previous verse it is mentioned that Drita Vratasi Badram Te Damena Niyamena Cha Tapo Dravina Daneshcha Shraddhaya Cheswaram Bhaja. So in the previous verse, Kardam Muni is giving her instructions on what she needs to do. And what she needs to do is, there are a couple of things mentioned. That, first he says that you have undertaken very, very sacred vows. She performed austerities with the husband, because the husband was performing austerities, and she was saving the husband, and then she was not she did not care about her body even. It's mentioned that the body was covered with dirt, and she did not even care to look after her body. And then Kardam Muni was very, very pleased with the service. And we know that she is the daughter of Swayambhu Manu. Yeah, Swayambhu. She is the daughter of Swayambhu Manu. She was a princess, but she chose to get married to Kardam Rishi because she had heard about Kardam Rishi from whom? Narad Muni. So she heard about Kardam from Naradji, and she had expressed her desire to the father, Swayambhu Manu, and then Swayambhu Manu brings her to Kardam Rishi, where he was performing the austerities, and then he accepts Devahuti because he was desiring to have a good wife, and he was performing austerities, and the Lord had already said that day after tomorrow, Manu Maharaj, when Lord appeared, Lord was very, very pleased with his devotion, and Lord said, or Manu Maharaj will come with his daughter Devahuti day after tomorrow, and then you can accept the daughter of Manu Maharaj. And when Manu Maharaj comes with the daughter, Kardamuni also glorifies her because he knew that she is very, very beautiful, and she was very, very qualified as well. And she was so beautiful that once there was one Gandharva going in the airplane, and then the Gandharva saw the beauty of Devahuti, and that Gandharva actually fell from that from that viman, from that airplane. What's the name of the Gandharva? Vishwavasu. Vishwavasu fell from the airplane. Just he got bewildered by the beauty of Devahuti. So very beautiful and very qualified, and here she had performed very, very severe austerities with the husband, saving the husband while he was performing austerities. So Kardamuni addresses her in this way, Drita Vratasi Bhadramte. And now what you have to do is you have to do 4 things. You worship the Lord, and you do 4 things while worshipping the Lord. And what are those things? Damena, Niyamena, Tapo, Dravina, Dhanes. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 things. So one is Damena. What is the meaning of Damena? Daman karna. To control the senses. To control the senses. First is to control the senses. And Niyamena means following different rules. You have to do this. There are some niyams. You do this, do this, do this. So you have to do this and also control your senses, because senses are very dangerous. Even one sense uncontrolled will take away the mind forcefully. There's a verse mentioned in the Bhagavad Gita that yatato epikonteya purusasya vipaschita indriyani pramatini haranti prasabham manaha. So it will, even one of the senses not controlled will take away the mind, right? And of course we have got only one mind. We want to fix the mind on the Lord. So if the uncontrolled senses take away the mind, or the sense objects take away the mind, how can we perform devotional service to the Lord? So we have to control the senses, and it is mentioned in the Katha, in the 11th canto. It's mentioned that this Avadut Brahmana had accepted 24 spiritual masters, and the 5 spiritual masters, from the 5 of them, he had learned how one can fall down, or how one can meet death if one of the senses is not controlled. Like one of the spiritual masters was a moth, or pating, because the patang does not have the eyes under control. And because of that, patang actually, because is attracted to the fire and goes to the fire, the wings are soft, the wings get burnt and they die. So eyes not controlled. And then of course we have a deer which does not have ears under the control, because likes nice music and gets goes towards the sound of the hunter, The hunter actually plays some nice music, and then they get attracted and they die as a result. And then there are three others. So eye is not controlled, ear is not controlled, and the tongue. Which animal? Fish. Fish doesn't have the tongue under control, and fish is caught and fish dies. And then elephant is with the, what does an elephant does not? Elephant does not have the sense of touch under control. It wants to touch the she elephant, and that's how it's caught. They dig a big hole and then put the she elephant on the other side, and they don't see that there's a big hole and covered with grass or leaves, and then the elephant gets trapped, and sometimes the elephant dies as a result. And also there's one animal like a bee, and then that's like that gets attracted to the smell of a flower smell, and then stays there, and then and the night comes, and the flower gets closed, and then the bee gets closed inside that flower, and then some animal comes and eats it, and then we know that this causes the death. So it's mentioned in the Padma Puran, in the Garud Puran, these five animals, these five living beings, they meet death, they die because one sense is not controlled. One Gyanendriya is not controlled. One, like the, what do you call, the patang or the moth, which is not controlled. What is not controlled? Which Gyanendriya? Eyes. And the ears, which animal? Deer. The nose? Bees. Right? And then we have the tongue, fish, and the sense of touch, or the skin, elephant. So they die with one, each of them, because of one uncontrolled senses. One of the senses uncontrolled. So what to speak of a human being who has got all five senses uncontrolled? Then surely they will fall down. So important thing is to have the senses under the control. Damena and niyamena, following the rules. There are certain things you have to do. You have to chant your rounds, you have to take darshan of the Lord, and you have to keep yourself clean. There's certain things you have to do. And we also have no meat eating, no intoxication, no gambling. All these things are also part of the process. And tapa means performing austerities, and dravina dana means giving charity, and shraddhaya means with faith, with great faith. So all these things, one should chesvara bhaja. One should worship the Lord. Ishvara bhaja means perform worship of the Lord. But these things are important. And what will happen as a result? When you worship the Lord, then sa tvaya araditaha suklo, then what will happen is, by your being pleased by your worship, because previous verse talks about how she should perform the bhajan, or she should perform worship of the Lord, and as a result what will happen? Sa tvaya, he being worshipped by you, araditaha, being worshipped by you, who? The Supreme Personality of Godhead, whose name is mentioned here, Sukla. What he will do, he will come, he will appear, and Vitanvan mamakam yashaha. He will, when he appears, what will he do? He will spread my fame. So the father becomes famous because of a good son. Here, this is not an ordinary son. He is the Lord, the Supreme Lord, who will, the personality of Godhead, who will appear as the son. So that will make the father famous as well, because we know that Lord Krishna appears as son of Devaki and Vasudeva, and therefore he is known as Devaki Nandan and Vasudeva Nandan, and he also appears as the son of Nand, Nanda Baba and also Yashoda. Therefore, his name is Yashoda Nandan and Nandanandan. So they become famous because of Krishna. And we know that and when Lord appears, then we address the Lord, together with, the Lord actually gets a name because of the mother and the father. And we have also here we have the Lord will be also known as, who's Nandan? Kardama Nandan and also Devahuti Nandan, because of taking or appearing as the son of Devahuti and Kardam. And not only that, he will Cheta te Hirdaya Granthim. Cheta te Hirdaya Granthim. What else he will do? He will cut the, Cheta means cut, Hirdaya Granthim. He will cut the knot in the heart. The knot in the heart. The knot, here Prabhupada writes, Hirdaya Granthi, the metta and the spirit are knotted by false ego. This identification of oneself with metta, which is called Hirdaya Granthi, exists for all conditioned souls. The Hirdaya Granthi. And it becomes more and more tightened when there is too much affection for sex life. Sex life. My family, my wife, my children. So that's the Hirdaya Granthi becomes more and more tightened because of affection for sex life, Prabhupada says here. So the metta and the spirit, we are actually not metta, we are spirit. We are spirit souls. We are not metta. We know that the spirit soul cannot be destroyed. The spirit soul doesn't get old. The spirit soul doesn't suffer from any disease. We have Nainam Chindanti Shastrani, Nainam Dahati Pavaka, Nachainam Kledyanti Apo, Nasoshyati Marutaha. The soul cannot be cut into pieces by any weapon. Nainam Chindanti Shastrani, Nainam Dahati Pavaka. It cannot be burned by fire. Nakle the Nasoshati Marta, and what else after that? Nakle diyanti apoho. It cannot be moistened by water, or it cannot be withered by the wind. So that's the soul, and the soul is part and parcel of the Lord. We know that Lord Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, Mamayvamsa jiva loke Jiva bhuta sanatana manashasthani indriyani prakriti sthani karshati. So we are spirit souls, and we have nothing to do with the metta, and we are eternally connected to the Lord. How are we connected to the Lord? We are the servant, Jivera Swarupaya Krishna Nityadas. But we think that we are part of, I am this body, I am white, I am tall, I am short, I am this, I am that. These are all identifications of the body. Spirit is part and parcel of the Lord, and they are meant to serve the Lord, because that's their swarup, that's their constitutional position. But they think that they are part of this world, and they are this body. So that is the Hirdaya Granthi, that's a false ego. The metta and the spirit are knotted by false ego, and it becomes more tightened by attachment to sex life. And Cheta te Hirdaya Granthim. So that Hirdaya Granthi will be cut off by your son, Audaryo, Brahma Bhavanaha. How he will do is by giving you the knowledge of Brahman, giving the knowledge of the Lord. We see that in the Bhagavad Gita, before the Bhagavad Gita, before the Mahabharata Yuddha actually began, Arjuna gets bewildered, and we know that Lord Krishna spoke the entire Bhagavad Gita. Lord Krishna spoke the Bhagavad Gita. It's called Bhagavad Gita because it has got, it's spoken by the Lord, but we also see that Arjuna also questions. Arjuna is also asking many questions to Lord Krishna. And there are four speakers in the Bhagavad Gita itself, there are four people speaking. Who are those four? Sanjaya is one of them. And Dhritarashtra, that's the first verse is spoken by Dhritarashtra Vacha, Dharmakshetra Kurukshetra. Samaveta Yutsava Mamaka Pandavascheva Kima Kurvata Sanjaya. That's the first verse spoken by Dhritarashtra. And then Sanjaya is also speaking. Yes, Sanjaya Vacha is also there. And also there is, who else? Krishna, Shri Bhagavan Vacha. So Krishna is there. And also one more speaker. Arjuna. Arjuna is also speaking. There are four speakers. How many verses does Lord Krishna speak? How many verses does Lord Krishna? No, there's Dhritarashtra, one. So there's definitely less than 700 Sri Bhagavan Vacha. So Lord Krishna speaks 575 verses. 575 verses by Lord Krishna, 1 by Dhritarashtra, 41 by Sanjaya, and 83 by Arjuna. 1 by Dhritarashtra, and how many by Krishna? 575. How many by Arjuna? 83. And how many by Sanjaya? 41. That's Bhagavad Gita. So we know that Arjuna gets bewildered, and then he accepts Lord Krishna as the Guru, and we know that Karpanya dosho upahata svabhava prichhami tvam dharma sammudha chetah yachreya shanishtam bruhitan me sishyasteham sadimam tvam prapannam. I am your disciple. I am surrendered unto you. Please instruct me. And then Lord Krishna speaks the entire Bhagavad Gita. And then Lord Krishna is asking at the end, Kachid edat chrutam partha tvaikagrena chetasa Kachid ajnana sammoha pranashtaste dhananjaya. Have you heard attentively? Has your ignorance gone now? And Arjuna says, Nashto moha smritil labda tvat prasadan mayachita stitosmi gata sandaya karishye vachanam tava. Yes, nashto moha. I am free from moha now. How? How am I free? Tvat prasadan mayachita. And that prasad, that kripa came in which form? How did he get freed from the ignorance? The knowledge, the knowledge of the Bhagavad Gita that was spoken by Lord Krishna, that actually freed Arjuna from the bewilderment, from the ignorance. And Tat Prasadan Mayachuta, and then what is after that? Nashta moha spritil labda tat prasadan mayacha stitosmi gata sandeha. I am now stitosmi gata sandeha. I am freed from doubts. Gata sandeha. Karishye vachanam tava. What will I do now? I will act according to your instructions. So we can see that it's transcendental knowledge. The knowledge is very important. By knowledge, Arjuna's ignorance was gone, was dispelled. So here, Lord will come, Tvaya Radita Sukla, because of your worship. If you perform this worship, Lord will appear. He will spread my fame, and it will, of course, he will also spread your fame. And he'll one more thing he will do is he will remove your ignorance. He will cut your hridaya granthi. He will cut the knot of your heart, right? Hridaya granthi. And we see that there is also that granthi, hridaya granthi, or that attachment to this material world is very, very strong. We see that in another verse, we'll see that Kapil Bhagwan says that this attachment, prasangam, ajaram pasam, that pass, it is like ajar pass. Prasangam means asakti, attachment. Prasangam ajaram pasam. Ajar pass means that pass which is very, very tight, or knot which is very, very tight, or like very tight knot. Ajaram pasam, not very easily untied or cut. Prasangam ajaram pasam atmana kavayo vidu. This is what the great sages say. Atmana kavayo vidu. But saeva sadhu sukrito mokshadwaram apavritam. But that same attachment, if one has towards what? Towards whom? Sadhu. Saeva sadhu sukrito. If one has that same attachment towards the sadhus, then mokshadwaram apavritam. Then the door to the liberation will become open, wide open. So the process is to approach here. She will, of course, get the instructions from the Lord directly. When it comes to Arjuna, Arjuna gets instructions directly from Krishna. Here, Kardam Muni is capable of giving the instructions. But Kardam Muni is saying that my son, who is the Supreme Lord, is the Lord, he will actually free you from the ignorance. He will cut that Hridaya Granthi, your son. Sometimes the Lord does it himself, and sometimes he actually makes his devotee remove the ignorance from the people. Like in the case of, for example, at the beginning of Mahabharata Yudh, Arjuna gets bewildered. Is it right? Arjuna gets bewildered at the beginning of Mahabharata. But when the Mahabharata was over, who gets bewildered? Yudhishthir Maharaj. Yudhishthir Maharaj gets bewildered, and Lord Krishna was there at that time, but Lord Krishna did not free him from the ignorance. Vyasadeva spoke to him, Lord Krishna spoke to him, but Lord Krishna was not making him actually get freed from that bewilderment, that ignorance. Because Lord Krishna wanted, he had a purpose in his mind. What did he want to do? He wanted to glorify Bhishma Deva. He wanted to show to the world that my devotees also are capable of actually removing the ignorance of people or bewilderment of people. And so he wanted to glorify Bhishma Deva. And at the same time, he wanted to show all of us, what else? What else? How to leave the body, yes. How to leave the body remembering the Lord. And the Lord will make you remember Him. If you are not able to go to the Lord, if you are not capable, the Lord is there, still there. He is because Bhishma died on which day of the battle? Bhishma fell down on which day? Of course, he died later, after the battle was over, when he saw that everything was fine, like the kingdom was in good hands. Then he left his body because he had that. He was given that benediction. He could leave his body at his own will. But when did Bhishma fall down? And because the battle took place for how many days? 18 days. 18 days. The battle took place for 18 days. And Bhishma actually was the commander-in-chief until which day? How many days? 10 days. 10 days was Bhishma. Right? And then who comes after that? Karna. Karna for how many days? Karna actually 5 days. Right? Karna was for 5 days, and then who was after that? Ashwatthama was the last day. But who came before? So 2 days who? So 5 days Karna, so 5, 15, and 2 days Shalya, correct. Yeah, Shalya 2 days. And then the last day was Ashwatthama, self-appointed, of course. And so, when Bhishma actually fell down, Bhishma uh, could not actually, he was lying on a bed of arrows. If he wanted to go to see Krishna, would that be possible for him? No. But Krishna went to him. So Krishna is teaching us a lesson. If you are not even, if you are not able to come to me, I'll come to you. I'll make you remember. And that's we can see. And then we see how Bhishma was actually speaking. Normally, when someone is speaking, they will be sitting on a Vyasasana. Like we see the Sukadeva Goswami is speaking, and Parikshit Maharaj is hearing, and he's sitting nicely and he's speaking the Srimad Bhagavatam. And we see that the Sutta Goswami is speaking the Srimad Bhagavatam to the 88,000 sages. They're sitting and speaking, but we see this special pravakta, special preacher who is sleeping on a bed of arrows, and he is giving wonderful instructions. And that's, if you look at the Mahabharata, is the instructions of Bhishma, you'll be, surprised how he can speak like this, while in that kind of condition, So he spoke about all the different kinds of dharma, and of course the topmost dharma as well. And he's actually, Lord Krishna is showing, look, this is a real Mahajan. I cannot remove the ignorance of Yudhishthir, but look, my devotee, Mahajan, is able to free him from ignorance. So, yes, we see sometimes Lord does it himself, and sometimes he empowers his devotees to do that. But of course, Lord, he is the one who is giving the knowledge to the devotees. It's not that devotees are, they are very knowledgeable. It's not that. Lord Krishna is the one who gives the knowledge. Because Lord Krishna says, I am seated in everyone's heart. Sarvasya chaham hridhi sannivishto matta smritir jnanam apohanam cha vedaischa sarve rahameva vedyo vedanta krid vedavideva chaham. I am seated in everyone's heart, and I am the one giving the knowledge, remembrance and forgetfulness. I am the compiler of the Vedas. I am the knower of the Vedas. By all the Vedas I am to be known. So he's the one who's giving the knowledge. He's the one who's giving the intelligence to one who worships him. Because Lord Krishna says, Tesam satata iktanam bhajatam priti purvakam dadami buddha yogam tame namapyantite. Yeah, I am giving the intelligence by which they can come to me. And Tesham evanukam partamaham ajnana jamtama nashami atma bhavasto jnana deepena bhasvata. What's the meaning of that verse? I am seated in everyone's heart and by the lamp of knowledge. Right? I remove the darkness of ignorance by the lamp of knowledge. So Lord is the one who actually gives the knowledge to the devotees or empowers the devotee to dispel ignorance of others. And here we see that Karda Muni, not Karda Muni, but his son, who is a devotee. And here Lord actually, Prabhupada writes in this purport here, that when the Lord comes, he accepts someone as the father and the mother, and they are devotees, except father. Devotees, pleased by the devotion of the devotees, he accepts them as father or mother. So here we don't see that Karda Muni had actually worshipped the Lord to have him as the son. But Lord was so pleased with Karda Muni's devotion that he actually said, I will appear as your son. So sometimes Lord actually himself decides to come accept someone as the father and the mother. And we know that sometimes devotees actually pray to have Lord as the son, as we see in like Drona and Dhara, or Aditi and Kashyap, and so there are some names mentioned, where someone prays to have Lord as the son. Hare Krishna. Any questions or comments? We still have time, no, for questions? Okay, Hare Krishna. Yes, Prabhuji. How was Bhishma, devotee of Krishna? Yes, how was Bhishma, devotee of Krishna? So, how do you know Bhishma is a devotee of Krishna? That's a good question. Yes, how do you know Bhishma? Do you find any place where where Bhishma glorifies Krishna? Yes, how do you know Bhishma is a devotee of Krishna? Yes, there so many places in during Rajasuya Yagya performed by Yudhishthir. Bhishma actually glorifies Krishna and says Krishna is the supreme. He should be worshipped first. He says he should be worshipped first. And he understood the position of Krishna. And even towards the end we see when he's leaving the body, Krishna actually goes to see his devotee Bhishma. Right? And we see that he's saying about Krishna that this is not a ordinary person. He's just whatever he's doing. It's very hard to understand. It's Krishna who's making all these things happen. And even if you look at Srimad Bhagavatam, there is a very nice stuti, prayers of Bhishma. Have you heard of this? Bhishma stuti. That's given in the Srimad Bhagavatam. Right, so there's a lot of places where we can see how great Bhishma was. But Bhishma was put on the other side. Why was Bhishma put on the other side by the Lord? To balance the battle. Yes, that's one of the things. Because he was the one who actually shows that Lord actually breaks his promise to keep the promise of his devotees, right? Because we know that he had promised that next day I will make Lord actually lift weapon. He had actually promised that I will not lift the weapon during this Mahabharata Yudh. But because Bhishma wanted him to lift, he did it. And actually, Bhishma actually remembers how Lord actually lifted that wheel. And he's seeing him in that form, as Partha Sarthi also. And we can also see that Lord is also showing us, because there is one verse in the Bhagavad Gita in which it says Duryodhana is saying in one of the verses in the first chapter, he says about the strength of the two sides. He says that our strength, does anyone remember the verse? Aparyaptam tadasmakam balam bhishma abhirakshitam paryaptam tudame